Hello everyone, this is Ashwin. Welcome to this episode where we are going to learn the setup of Python programming language with various operating systems. We are also going to learn the basics of Python programming language. We are not going to get into programming, but this entire episode is focusing on the installation and execution of simple Python program in various ways. So let us get started. We can get started by visiting the python.org, which is the homepage of Python Software Foundation. Now, Python is a interpreted programming language, which means that it has an interpreter. It doesn't have a compiler. So, unlike programming languages like C, C++, and Java, Python doesn't compile the program, it interprets it. So, in C, C++, and Java, we first write the program and then the compiler compiles the creates the executable, and then we go ahead and execute that executable. But nowadays we are actually not aware of all this compilation and execution process, and that they are separate because we have got various integrated development environment that automate the process of compilation and execution with a single click. But in case you are fond of manually writing the program using a simple text editor and then compiling and executing it manually, then you will understand the difference between compiled and interpreted programming languages. So that's why Python is also called as a scripting language. And much like shell scripts of Bash, Corn shell, and C shell, we can interpret a Python program. Now we are going to understand the basics of and the history of Python programming language. So there is a guy known as Guido van Rossum, and he's a Dutch guy basically, and he started this project as a hobby. And I guess there were other programming languages like ABC and SETL that are the predecessors of this Python programming language. Okay, and this hobby actually grew into a major project that it is today. And this Guido van Rossum has worked for very big corporates like Google, Dropbox, and I think that currently he is working for Microsoft as of November 2021. Now we can use Python programming language for various purposes. So here we can see what are the use cases of Python. So we can use it for web development, and these are the name of the modules. So these are all the external libraries that are not the part of Python programming language as such, but they are developed by other development companies, parties, and individuals, and we can actually use them with Python programming language. So basically, these are Python libraries, but they are not actually developed by the Python Software Foundation that takes care of the maintaining of the standard of Python programming language and provides the most famous interpreter that is known as CPython. So we are going to see all these things in detail. So I was talking about Python libraries. So these are the libraries for graphical user interface development. We can even have scientific and numerical computation. We are also going to have a look at software development and system administration. So out of all these things, I am actually more interested in scientific and numeric computation with Python, and you can find the URLs for all these episodes about Python programming language that I have uploaded on my YouTube channel in the description section down below. Now let us go ahead and install this Python programming language for a Windows computer. But before that, we can even have a look at the success stories of Python. So basically, these are all the case studies of Python and how Python has been used into various organizations for automating their tasks and doing some activity. So let us visit all these links one by one and let us see what companies are using Python. So there must be one-liner statement from, okay, so I guess in arts no one is using it much, so that was a fail. So here on the business section we can see Python is successfully being used by various businesses, and here we can see how we can use Python in the education, and in the engineering section also we can use Python for creating robots and such. And in government also we can use Python. I mean, I guess NASA is using Python, so that is one of the biggest government organizations in United States. And for scientific computing, we can see Python. And for software development, these are the use cases. So earlier, I guess there was even a use case by Disney, that Disney was using Python for automating a lot of workflows for the production of its animation and all. So we can actually use Python in place of shell scripts for better readability of the code and ease of programming. So Python may not be as fast as shell script, but we can definitely use it if we want to shorten the development time, because it has got very English like syntax for writing code. Now let us go ahead and check the second thing in our agenda. So I have got list for agenda. So we are going to understand how to install Python on Windows operating system. So if you visit this website python.org and hover your mouse pointer over that download section, it will automatically detect your operating system and it is going to make the appropriate download option available for your operating system. So I'm going to click this option now and it is going to launch a download thing. So it is only 27 MB. Python setup seems to be lightweight. And if I launch this, let us see, let us execute this. Okay, so this is the setup window of Python programming language. And here you can check this add Python 3.10 to path. So it is going to add this Python 3.10 to the path variable of your Windows. And it is going to grant us the ability to launch this Python from the command line. And I'm just going to go ahead and customize the installation and let us see. Okay, so I'm going to check all the options. It is going to install the documentation and it is going to install PIP. We are going to see what PIP is. It is also going to install IDLE and Python test suite and PyLauncher and for all users. So we are going to have a look at all these things in the same episode further down the line. So I want you to be patient a bit. And let us check the advanced option. Install for all users and download debugging symbol and download debug binaries. So, okay, I guess we are good with all these things because I already have, what is this Visual Studio? Okay, I already have Visual Studio 2022 preview edition. So I don't think that this should be a problem when I'm trying to install. Now I'm going to click the install button and the catch is that it is going to ask us for the admin credentials because I could see a shield symbol, which means that it is going to require elevated privileges. So if you are a normal user for your system, you may not be able to install this. It is going to ask you for the admin level privileges. And I guess Windows Threat and Security thinks that this is some sort of threat, which is definitely not true. So I guess this Python setup is going to take quite a while. And I'm going to skip the part where we have to wait. So after a painfully long wait, the installation wizard started copying the files to my computer. And while it installs the Python 3 to this computer, we are going to explore the website. So here we have the download section and we can see the full list of downloads. And here we can see that there are download options available for Windows, Linux, Unix, Mac OS and other operating systems. So let us see what other operating systems are supported by. Okay, so Python for AIX and Python for IBM i. Cool. Python for iOS and iPadOS. Okay, Python for RISC OS, Python for Solaris, VMS HPUX, which is a certified Unix operating system, alternate Python packages for Linux. So we are actually going to see the alternate Python packages for Linux in the later part of this video. We can even check the community stuff. Yeah, so here we have the page for community and we can even attend a conference. Diversity statement. That is good actually. Some political stuff. And we can even check the documentation. So I can hover my mouse pointer over this documentation stuff, and it is going to show us the URL to the Python docs. And this is cool. So if you want to learn Python by yourself, then you can definitely check all the documentation. And I'm also going to cover a lot of things mentioned in these documentation pages in the upcoming episodes for Python programming language. Now we can even check the news for Python. So here you will find a lot of stuff. So here we can see the fundraiser. Okay, so I recommend you all to donate for the Python fundraiser. And finally, we can even check the events. So basically, I think this Python community, they continue holding the conferences and all, but because of this coronavirus pandemic, they haven't actually done any physical conference lately. But I think that they are still continuing these virtual conferences. So I want you to go ahead and attend those events. And I think that you can even talk to them for arranging some sort of conference or event in your college or university or community for promoting the open source and Python. Now let us check the status of installation. We have devoted plenty of time for the exploration of the website. And here we are, and this message reads that the Python setup was successful. And we can actually even check the online tutorial. So I'm going to click on that online tutorial thing, and it has launched a window here. Okay, so I'm definitely going to cover all these things for the upcoming episodes of Python programming language on various platforms. And here you can see what's new and using Python on Windows. So you might want to visit these links if you are a very new person to Python programming language. Now I'm going to go ahead and close it. Now the sure shot way of checking for Python installation is you click the search bar of your Windows and type in IDLE. So it is Integrated Development and Learning Environment. And it is going to launch the Python's Integrated Development and Learning Environment in a moment. So this is cool. This is the Python's IDLE for 3.10.0. And it was released on October 4th, and today is the 21st of November 2021. So now I'm going to close it because we are going to explore this in the later part of this video. And we can even open the local command prompt. So this is the PowerShell terminal. And here we can check if Python has successfully been installed. If you remember, we had actually checked the option for adding Python to the path variable of this Windows operating system. It means that we have the ability to launch Python from the command line. So if I type in Python -- version, it should return us a string with the current version of the Python. Another command for the same action is Python -- and capital V, and it also returns us the Python version. And on Windows operating system, you can just type in Python and hit enter. It is going to launch the Python's interpreter on the command prompt. So I'm going to exit it, and the command to exit it is exit and brackets. And if I hit enter, it is going to exit. So let us exit from the PowerShell also. You can also use the command prompt of Windows like CMD. I'm more comfortable with the PowerShell. And here also you can type in the Python version and Python -- version and also Python. And it is going to launch the Python's interpreter in the command mode. And let me exit. If you have something like Cygwin installed, CYG, Cygwin64 terminal, then there also you can run these commands. So basically any sort of command prompt on Windows will have the access to the Python's binary and Python -- version as well as Python. And if I hit enter, it actually takes me to the Python's interpreter program. And let us exit the Cygwin 64 terminal. So this is how we can install Python on Windows operating system. Let us go ahead and install Python on Raspberry Pi OS, Debian distribution of Linux, as well as FreeBSD. So basically, Raspberry Pi OS is a derivative of the pure Debian distribution of Linux, and we can install it on Raspberry Pi computers as well as desktop computers. So I think that the Raspberry Pi OS comes with two versions of Python. So Python here refers to the Python 2 interpreter, and if you want to invoke Python 3, then you have to use Python 3 on the command prompt. So unlike Windows, in all the Unix like operating systems, we have two different interpreters installed, Python and Python 3. So Python refers to Python 2 and Python 3 refers to Python 3. And we don't have to do anything for Raspberry Pi, at least, because we have the older version of Python and the latest version of this Python 3. Now there are few things that we can install though. So here let me mention Raspberry Pi OS. So Raspbian was the earlier name of that Raspberry Pi OS. Now we can install the PIP3 utility with this command. So just copy this command and execute it on the command prompt of your Raspberry Pi OS. So let me paste it and let me execute this command. So the command is sudo apt install python 3-pip. So in case this PIP utility is not installed, and we are going to see what PIP utility means in the comment part of this entire episode. So let me rename the tab saying Raspberry Pi OS. And let me clear the screen and let us install the other utilities. In case you are wondering where you can find this file, don't worry, I have already uploaded this file on the GitHub, and you can check for the URL to that GitHub repository as well as this file in the description section of this episode. Now we are going to install the IDLE 3 for Python 3. So IDLE is the integrated learning and development environment. If you remember, we have seen how to open it on Windows. So by default, it is not installed on Raspberry Pi. And let me hit enter, and it is going to go ahead and launch that installation. So it won't take actually much time for the installation to finish. And there is another IDE known as Spider. We are going to see how to install that IDE. So we are just installing all the required tools for Python development. So this Spider is also a very good IDE. And finally, we will install my favorite IDE, that is Thonny Python editor. So once this finishes, we will install the Thonny Python editor. Similarly, I have compiled the instructions for Ubuntu operating system. So in case you have Ubuntu computer, then you can definitely install Python 3 and PIP, IDLE 3, Spider and Thonny. So all these three IDEs on an Ubuntu system. So I couldn't actually install Ubuntu on my computer as well as the Raspberry Pi I have. So in future, I'm planning to make a video on this installation of Ubuntu on Raspberry Pi as well as a desktop computer. And there I'm going to cover the installation of Python 3 on Ubuntu. But these instructions are well tested on a computer where Ubuntu was installed. So don't worry, just go ahead and use these instructions to install Python 3 on Ubuntu. Now I think that the installation is done, or is it still in progress? So meanwhile, we will launch the installation on Debian. So let us go ahead and install this Python 3 pip on Debian. I think that Python 3 is already installed by default on Debian 2. So Python -- version, and okay, so it doesn't have Python, but does it have Python 3? Yes. So by default, it has Python 3 installed, and we don't have to install Python 3. But the earlier version of Python is omitted from Debian. So we will install the pip utility and let me hit enter. Okay, pip is also installed. Let us install the other stuff like ideally Thonny and Spider. So I can mention all these tools in a single command. Ideally THONNY and SPYDER. So all these three are IDEs. So ideally is the IDE that comes with the Windows setup by default, and it is developed and maintained by the Python Software Foundation. So let me hit enter and launch the installation process. Okay, it seems that all these things are already installed on this system. Okay, so ideally is there, Spider is there, and Thonny is there. Yes, so for the preparation of this episode, I must have installed all these IDEs and Python 3 as well as PIP on this Debian system. But in real life, it is going to take quite a lot of time for you to install all these utilities on a fresh Debian installation. So I think that our Raspberry Pi installation is also nearing. Okay, so it is done. Now let us see. I don't remember actually where I was for Raspberry Pi. Okay, so I think that we have installed Ideally 3, and let us go ahead and install Spider, or let us see what was the last command that we executed. Yeah, we executed the command to install the Spider utility. Finally, we are going to use the pip3 command to install Thonny editor, and that will be quite cool. So this is how we can use pip3 utility. I'm going to have a detailed section further down this episode explaining what is pip3 utility. Okay, and I think that Thonny is already installed on this Raspberry Pi. So in case it is not installed, you can just copy this command and execute it on the console of your Raspberry Pi. Now, one of the most important things is FreeBSD. So we know that FreeBSD is Unix-like operating system, and it has got the utility known as pkg that installs packages for it. So I'm going to copy this, and let us see if Python is installed. Python -- version. No, Python is not installed, and Python 3 is also not installed. So we will just go ahead and install Python 3. And it might actually take some time for the installation to finish. Okay, so I think that it installed Python 3. So let us try the command clear and Python 3 -- version. Cool. So it has installed Python 3.8.12. So on Windows, I guess we installed Python 3.10.0. Basically, this thing fetches from the repository of the BSD related operating systems, and there they must have been maintaining Python 3.8.12 for all the BSD descendants. So don't worry, because Python 3.8 is also good, and we can actually install the utility pip for Python 3.8 with this command. So I hope that you have understood that this is 3.8 version. That's why we are installing pip 3.8, pip 38. And had it been, let's say, Python 3.9, then we would have installed pi 39-pip. Now we will also see how to install all these IDEs. I'm not sure actually if we can install all these IDEs on FreeBSD, because the FreeBSD repository may not be maintaining ideally Thonny and Spider in their repository. So we will just see. Let me clear this, and let us say Python 3 -- version. Okay, and let's see pip3 -- version. Okay, pip command not found. Okay, pip -- version works. It means that pip utility is installed for Python 3.8, and that is cool actually. So let us clear the screen and let us try to install the other stuff like ideally Thonny and Spider, and we can try to install it with IDLE THONNY and SPYDER. And if I hit enter, it should actually, okay. So there is nothing like ideally Thonny and Spider. So I think that we will have to code for Python 3 on FreeBSD in old style by using the famous Nano editor, or you can even use the editors like VI or VIM for writing Python programs. So what if I launch ideally? No, ideally 3. Okay, your Python may not be configured for TK. I guess there is some error. So let me say echo. Okay, I guess it terminated with error. So there was some problem with ideally 3 on FreeBSD. So this is how we can install Python and related tools for Debian, Raspberry Pi OS, and FreeBSD. And I'm quite sure that we can install Python for similar ease on the other distributions of Linux like Fedora and Red Hat and Gentoo Linux and Linux Mint and SUSE Linux. So every distribution of Linux will have its own package manager. Okay, so here for Debian and its derivatives like Ubuntu and Raspberry Pi OS, the package manager is apt. For FreeBSD, the package manager is pkg. So you can actually use the package manager of your operating system and install Python and related tools with ease. So it is not possible to cover almost everything in a single video. So I will try to make other episodes on installation of all those Linux distributions on Raspberry Pi and how to install Python on those distributions. So basically, I am using a Raspberry Pi for all of my Windows as well as Linux and FreeBSD needs, but these commands will run on even your desktop computers. Because these commands are like platform and architecture agnostic, they will just see if the proper version of Linux or FreeBSD is installed on that particular computer, and then you can just launch command prompt and install Python. So now I'm going to close this document and let us see the next thing in the agenda. All right, we are going to see how to install Python on Mac OS now. So before getting started, I'm going to show you the version of Mac OS that I am working with. So I'm working with a very old version of Mac OS. So if you click on the Apple symbol here and click on About this Mac, it is going to show us the version of the operating system. So this is Mac OS High Sierra. So as of now, this version of Mac OS is not supported by Mac and its support ended. But I believe that the steps for installation are same on the latest version of Mac OS. Now I'm going to close it, and this is the command prompt. You can invoke it by clicking this symbol here, or you can go to the launchpad and just go ahead and type in terminal. Okay, so this is how we can invoke the command prompt of the Mac OS. And here I'm going to check the version. So uname -a. So this shows us that this is the Darwin kernel version 17.7.0. Now let us go ahead and install Python 3 on this Mac OS computer. So for that, I'm going to open the web browser. So here I have Google Chrome installed. So I'm just going to go ahead and open it. And I'm just going to say python.org. Python.org. And it is going to take me to the Python's homepage. Now I'm just going to hover my mouse pointer over the downloads section, and it is automatically detecting the operating system. Here you can see it says download for Mac OS. Now I'm just going to go ahead and click this button where it reads Python 3.10.0. So it starts downloading the package, Basically, this is an installable package, and as soon as the download finishes, this symbol jumps. So it has been downloaded to your download folder, to be very specific, your user's download folder. And now I'm just going to click this, and it is going to launch the installation wizard. See here, we have the installation wizard. So let me minimize the browser. Okay, so here we have the installation wizard, and I'm just going to go ahead and click continue. So here we have installation options and all. You can customize it if you want. So I'm not going to customize anything. And then I'm just going to say continue. And here we have history and license. And if I say continue now, it is going to ask you whether you agree or disagree. So just go ahead and click the agree button. And it shows us the available disk space and the total disk space. And if you have multiple disks, it is going to show all those disks here. So as of now, I just have a single disk here. And then I'm just going to say continue again. Okay, so here you can change the installation location, but there is no need to change the location. That's why I'm just going to keep it as it is. And I'm going to click the install button now. And see, it asks you for the admin password. So I'm just going to go ahead and enter my password. And yes, so it is now copying the files from this package, installation package, to the local disk. So it is going to take quite a while. Let us wait. It won't take a lot of time. So it seems that the installation is complete, and here you can see the directory where we can find the launcher applications. And so if I go to the application section here, and if I check, so here you will find that directory where you will find all the launchers. So this is the Python launcher, and this is the IDLE. Okay, and so this is it. This is how we can install Python programming language on a Mac computer. So it is still installing all the package scripts. So let us wait for some more time. Okay, so it seems that the Python installation is complete, and I'm just going to go ahead and close this window. And it asks us if we want to move that installation file to the trash. So as of now, we don't need this file. So I'm just going to go ahead and move it to the trash. Okay, so this is the command prompt. So I'm going to exit it now. Okay, and let me close this, and let me reopen a new window. So now this is a little bit tricky situation because Python 2 automatically ships with all the latest versions of Mac OS. So if you just type in Python, it launches Python 2.7.10. Okay, so this is the latest version of Python 2.7. So it hasn't been under active development. We all know that. So I'm just going to go ahead and exit it. So if you want to check the version without invoking the interpreter mode, you can just say Python-v, and it returns the version of Python 2. Now for Python 3, the name of the executable is Python 3. So let me clear the screen, and I'm just going to say Python 3. And if I hit enter, it launches Python 3. And if I just say exit, it exits it. And we can again check the version of Python 3 by -v. And it is this version of Python 3, that we are going to use for all of our development projects. So I can just go to the Finder or Launchpad and go to the applications here and double click Python 3.10. And if I double click IDLE, it is going to open the ideally shell for Python. So here we can type in the programs. So I'm just going to say print hello world. And we can also create a new file and use this in the script mode. So I'm just going to go ahead and close it now. Now ideally is good, but we need a better IDE. So for that I'm going to go to the Thonny Python project, THONNY. Thonny is an IDE for Python. So here you have the Mac section. So here we have the Mac section and I'm going to click it. So it has launched a download stuff, and yes, the download is complete now. And I'm just going to click this package file and it is going to launch an installation wizard. So let me minimize the browser window and let's go ahead and continue this installation. Continue and agree. So the installation is always going to be a simple affair with all the packaging and all. So let me continue this and let's install it. Again, it asks us for the admin password, which I'm going to enter now. So it will take some time for the installation to finish, and then I'm going to show you how we can work with Thonny Python editor on Mac OS. So let's wait. Okay, it reads that the installation was successful. So I'm just going to go ahead and close this. And it is again asking us if we want to keep the file. No, we don't want to keep the file, and I'm just going to move it to the trash. Okay, the file has been moved to the trash. Now we can find it with Launchpad. So this is the Thonny Python editor. So I will just click it and it has launched Thonny Python editor. Okay, so let us have a small overview of the Thonny Python editor. So here we have the command prompt and here we have the script mode. You can just go ahead and save it. It is going to open save as window. Okay, and yeah, so it is opening a save as in window and you can actually save your script to the location in the disk. So as of now, we are not going to get into a lot of details right from the beginning, but here you can type in the code in the interpreter mode and it is just going to say hello world. Yes, so it shows the output. Now, the thing is that the character font is a little bit small. So I'm just going to go ahead and open the preferences. So let us go ahead and see where we can find preferences. Yes, so here we have the preferences. So I'm just going to click this window. Okay, so again, let me repeat. So here you just have to click on Thonny and the second option is preferences. Also, I forgot to tell you that this Thonny Python editor is a free software, so don't worry about it. So I'm just going to go ahead and check everything. So this is the interpreter and this is the editor and then this is the theme and font. So it reads here console as 20 and courier 20. So this is the font for the IO. So whatever we are typing in the interpreter window, it is set to 20. So I'm just going to go ahead and make it a bit bigger, not a lot, or let's make it a lot bigger to a point where everything is comfortable to our eyes. And yes, or let me make it even bigger. Yes, 35. 35 seems to be a very good thing because the size of the screen here is quite big, and here this is how we can set the font and size of the font. And this is the option tab for editor. And let me go to the interpreter section So here you can set the interpreter. So it happens many times that your Mac OS has got multiple instances of Python. So in that case, you can choose the instance of Python that you want to associate with your Thonny editor. So by default, the setting is going to be the same interpreter which runs Thonny by default. Okay. And if I say OK, the interpreter that runs Thonny by default is Python 3.7.9. So whenever you install Thonny, it comes with its own Python interpreter, and by default it associates with that. But if you have multiple instances of Python, then you can set the preferences as I have already explained you. So here in this interpreter tab, go to the alternative Python 3 interpreter or virtual environment, and here you can enter the location. Okay, so you can find out this location by running the command which python 3. So this is the path that we need to copy or note down and paste in the Thonny. So here /user /local /bin /python 3 is the path of the Python 10 interpreter that we have manually installed from python.org. Okay, and so this is it. This is very simple how to set the interpreter. And if I just say OK now, here you can see that it has again changed the interpreter. And it says for Python 3.7.9, it says bundled. Bundled means bundled with Thonny Python editor. And this one is the user installation of Python 3. So this is how we can use the Thonny editor, and this is how we can set the font and all. So I can just say print hello world. As you can see, it also has the facility of the syntax highlighting. And if I go ahead and save it and execute it, it is going to show us the same result. It is going to print hello world on this interpreter. So I'm just going to go ahead and close it now. And I don't want to save the file, so I will just say no. So this is how we can install and work with Thonny Python editor. Next thing in our agenda is the interpreter mode of Python. So it is the interactive interpreter mode of our Python's interpreter. We know that Python is an interpreted programming or scripting language, and it comes with a binary executable file known as python.exe in Windows and Python 3 in Unix-like operating systems. So if we open the command prompt of our Windows operating system and type in where Python, then it returns us the locations where that python.exe is located on Windows. Similarly, if I open the command prompt of any Unix-like operating systems here and type in which Python 3, then it returns us the location of that binary executable file. We can also check Python, and it is the Python 2. So this file is there in almost all the Unix-like operating systems where we have installed Python. The location where it has been installed could be different. Okay, it is not able to find for Python, but for Python 3, there will be an entry. Okay, so this is how we can check it in Unix-like operating systems like FreeBSD and Linux. Now let us see how we can invoke the interactive or the interpreter mode of Python's interpreter. So from command line, the command is very simple. You go to command line of your operating system. So for convenience, I use the PowerShell thing and type in Python in Windows, and it is going to open the interactive mode of the interpreter. So I can just say print, and this is our very first Python program. So you should be excited. Hello world. And if I hit enter, it is going to run that particular line. So this is just like command prompt of our operating system. We can insert small Python statements here or small codes of blocks and hit enter, and it is going to give us immediate feedback. Now the other way to invoke it in Windows is type in ideally, and it is going to open the ideally window. Okay, I guess it is opening that ideally.py file, and I'm not quite sure why it is doing that. We are just going to skip this step and we will see how to open the ideally. Okay, so if you just type in ideally and open the ideally program, so by default it will open with the interactive mode of the Python's interpreter. The only thing is that the earlier stuff was in the command prompt and this one is in the a nice looking GUI, but the functionality is still same. And here also I can type in hello world. And if I hit enter, it is going to print the hello world thing. So this is the same window as when we open it in PowerShell utility. See, the message shown by both the windows is exactly same. The header lines that both the windows display, those are exactly same. And this is the same tool. The only thing is that we are invoking it in a bit different way. And in case you have installed some sort of advanced IDE for Python, there also you will find this sort of shell. So this is the Python shell, and we can type in Python commands and statements and execute them. So this is very ideal for a quick proof of concept or writing some small pieces of code. So this is how we can do it in Windows. On Linux and Unix like operating systems also, we can type in Python 3 and it is going to launch the Python's interactive interpreter mode in the command prompt. So the command to exit is exit and brackets. So let us go to the console of Raspberry Pi and type in Python 3. And here also we have the interactive mode of the interpreter. So here also we are going to type a customary line, hello world, and execute it before exiting. And the other way we can invoke this is to open the ideally. So I'm going to launch the ideally from the command prompt using the command ideally, and let us see if it launches. Okay, it seems to be working and it is launching that ideally interpreter. So here we can see the ideally interpreter, and we can also type in the Python statements. But before that, we will configure it. So don't forget to configure your ideally before starting to use it, because the font size and all should be comfortable to the every user. Okay, so I'm going to make it bigger, and yes, so here we have the ideally running on a Raspberry Pi. Basically I'm using X11 forwarding technique in order to access this GUI of the ideally on Windows computer from which I'm remotely connecting to the Raspberry Pi. So in case you want to know more about X11 forwarding and setup of Raspberry Pi with the operating systems like Raspberry Pi OS and FreeBSD, you can check the description of this episode where I have pasted the links of all the playlists of my YouTube channel where I'm teaching all these things. So let us type in the customary program print hello world. And if I hit enter, it is going to execute that program. And in order to exit, I will just have to say exit. Okay, so let us kill it and let us see it on Unix like operating system FreeBSD. And if I type in ideally, okay, that ideally is not installed, I guess. And I think that it was showing some problem. That's why we did not care to work with it. But here also we can type in the command Python 3 and print hello world. So it is going to print the hello world string on the terminal. So this is how we can work with the interactive mode of the Python's interpreter. Now let us see the next item in the agenda. Now we are going to see the scripting mode of IDLE. Okay. So for that, let us again use our Raspberry Pi and open IDLE and ampersand. So it is not going to block the command prompt and it is going to launch a process separately. So this is the IDLE window. We have just had a very small and quick tour of it. Now, if you want to create a file, just click here on file and say new file. And it is going to create a new file and it will be an untitled file. Now let me go ahead and save it. It is going to now show us the file system of our Raspberry Pi. And here I'm just going to name it as prog00. And if I hit enter, it is going to automatically attach it, the extension .py. So my throat is a bit dry and I'm going to drink a bit of water. Now I'm refreshed and continue the Python adventure. Let us say print hello world and let us save it and let us run it by clicking run and run module. Okay, so it is running that thing and we can see the output here in the IDLE shell like this. So now I'm going to close this IDLE shell and the associated file editor. Now let us see how we can execute this from the command prompt of Raspberry Pi. We can just type in Python 3 and prog00.py. And if I hit enter, it is going to run that program and it is going to show us the output. So let us do that again. And this is the output of the earlier program. So this is how we can launch it from the command prompt. Now we can edit this prog00.py file by using any other IDE like this. Okay. And we know the interpreter that is invoking this file. We can find it by which Python 3. And here we have the path to the interpreter of Python 3. So I'm just going to go ahead and copy that path. And I'm going to say here hash exclamation mark and paste. So this is the first line and it is known as shebang or shabang in the world of Unix programming. So basically it is the way we are telling the shell interpreter of the command line of Unix like operating systems that use this particular interpreter to execute this file. So I'm going to save it. And we already know how to use it with Python 3 interpreter, but even without mentioning the name of the interpreter, we can execute this file. And the way is we have to say prog00.py. And if I hit enter, it should execute, but it doesn't have the necessary permissions. So the command for granting it the necessary permissions is chmod 755 and prog00.py. And if I hit enter, it is going to grant it all the required permissions. And let us see if it has the run permissions or the execute privilege. So here we can see it has got now the execute privilege for the user, the group, and for others. And now if I type in prog00.py, it is going to enter and execute that program with Python 3 interpreter that we mentioned in the very first line of that program, also known as shabang or shebang. We can do the similar trick on Windows operating system also. So let us open the IDLE. So this is the IDLE. And let us create a new file. And let me say print hello world Let me save it now. Save. So anyway, you can't execute a program without saving it first. And let us save it on desktop, and let us directly save it on C colon. Okay. So that it will be easier for us to refer to that file. And I will just say prog00, and it will automatically, okay, I don't have the permission to save this on this disk. And yeah, so it is prog00.py, and it is directly saved in the D colon. And we can go ahead and run this module, and this is the output. Now we can close both the files and go to the command prompt of our operating system. Either we can use CMD, or we can use PowerShell, or you can even use Cygwin. So I am more comfortable with Linux and Unix like operating systems and their command prompt. So Cygwin actually emulates all these things perfectly. So let us go to the D colon first and clear it. And let us say Python and prog00.py like this. And if I hit enter, it is going to execute that program in the PowerShell. So let us try to execute this in the Cygwin. Let us go to the D colon. Okay, CD and D colon. Okay. And let us see pwd, and we are in the D colon. And let us type in here Python 3 and prog00.py. Okay, it says the permission denied. Okay, I guess this particular user doesn't have the permission to run the program like this from Cygwin. So don't worry about Cygwin then. Open the CMD, the old CMD of Windows operating system, and here you can go to the D colon and just type in Python and prog00.py, and here we have the output. I guess in Cygwin also we can run this. I think that the command that I executed last time was wrong, and it should have been only Python. Let us try to do that. And I will just say Python and prog00.py, and here we have the output. So last time I had entered Python 3 and it was actually showing error because in Windows, the name of that executable file is Python. So this is how we can run a script file of Python in various ways using the various command line shells in Windows and in Linux and Unix like operating systems like BSD. So let us see the next thing in the agenda. So we have seen the scripting mode as well as the details of the IDLE editor. So let me open the IDLE editor again, and let me show you quite a few more things. So I think that we have already gone through the configuration stuff. So here we have the option for file. We can edit it, format, run. You just click run module and it is going to run that. We can configure the IDLE from the options like this. Then there are a couple of options related to the window, and here we can get the help. And another interesting feature is that this turtle demo. So it is a program written in Python to show you all the examples of the turtle library of Python. So it is very interesting. This is very first time I am seeing this sort of demo in Python's IDLE. So basically this IDLE is a software developed by Python Software Foundation, and by default it comes with the installation of Python that is provided by the Python Software Foundation's website, python.org. But on the other operating systems like Linux, Debian flavors of Linux, Ubuntu, Raspberry Pi, and FreeBSD, we have to install it. So now let us see the next thing in the list, and it is the Spyder IDE. If you remember, we have installed the Spyder IDE on Debian as well as Raspberry Pi. So let us open that Spyder IDE and let us see what stuff is that. SPYDER is the spelling, and ampersand, and if I hit enter, it should actually launch the Spyder IDE. So let me take a sip of water by the time it launches the Spyder IDE. So this IDLE is pretty basic. If you need more functionality and more code beautification, then you can definitely use something like Spider IDE. This is Spider 4, and basically the current version of Spider IDE is Spider 5, but it seems that they haven't updated it in the repository for Debian. That is why it is still using Spider 4. And now it should actually show us the message that new Spider version is available. And trust me, I had tried to install it on the Raspberry Pi, but somehow that did not go very well and I messed up something. And related to open source, that if you mess up, then it is actually very difficult to debug. That is why I'm not actually going to include the instructions for upgrading to the Spider 5, because as of now, Spider 4 is very stable on this Raspberry Pi OS and Debian. So I'm just going to skip it. And let us dismiss this tour also. I don't want it. Now, very first thing is that this is the code window. Here you can type in the code. You can just type in print hello world. And in case you think that the font is not suitable, then hold down the control key of your keyboard and scroll up with the mouse wheel. And I'm just going to type in hello world, hello world. So this is the customary hello world program. And I think that we can even execute it without saving the program. And so here we have the button to run the file. And it is asking us for the run settings. So let us execute it in current console and let us not mess up with any other settings. And let's click run. And here we can see hello world. And we can even increase the font size of this window. We should be able to increase. Okay, I'm not able to increase the font size, but I guess that is fine for us. So here we have the console. So here also we can type in print hello world, hello world. And if I hit enter, it is going to show us hello world. Now you can change the settings by clicking on this spanner symbol. Here you can change the font as well as the color of background and everything, theme and all. So it is going to take some time for it to open. So let us wait for some time. Okay, so this is the stuff. Now let us go to the appearance section, and here we can see various interface themes. Okay, and I will just say light and I will say apply. And it is actually going to restart the Spider IDE. So let us restart the Spider IDE. I mean, it will automatically do it for us. Don't worry. So let us wait for a moment, and meanwhile we can review our progress. So we are here at Spider IDE, and I guess 2 more topics are left to be explored. So let us be patient and let it launch the Spider IDE. So here we can see that it has changed the theme. Oh, it hasn't changed the theme. That is strange. Let me go to the spanner symbol again. So it hasn't changed the theme fully. So let us see various options. So let us go to the appearance. And okay, interface theme also has to be changed. Let us say light. And okay, icon theme, Spider 3. And let us make it solarized light. No, let us make it ideally style. Okay, let us make it in the style of ideally. And here we can change the font, I guess. Let us make it 24. Also make it 24. And if I say apply, it should actually change everything. Okay, so here we have the changed font style for our interactive mode also. So this is the instance of the console. And basically this is the IPython console. It means interactive Python console, an enhanced Python console. So it is better than our normal Python's interactive mode. Basically it is accessing the same thing in the backend, but the front end is a bit revamped. And here again, we can type in the command, hello world, hello world. And this is how we can use the Spyder IDE. We can even go ahead and save this file to the local file system, but I'm not going to do that. So let us go ahead and close this Spyder IDE on Raspberry Pi. So the interface of the Spyder IDE is same across all the operating systems like FreeBSD, Raspberry Pi OS, Debian, Windows, and Mac OS. So you can use it on any operating system of your choice. Now the next thing is Python package index and PIP. So basically this PIP is a command. So I can type in PIP3 version. So PIP3 refers to the PIP's version for Python 3. And it actually works same in all the operating systems where we have installed it. So in some operating systems, we had to install it manually. We have seen that in the list. And I can just type in and say PIP3 -- version. Similarly, let's go to the FreeBSD and type in PIP3 -- version. Okay, it says PIP3 command not found. So here we have to use PIP and it is going to print the version. And similarly, here also we can say PIP3 -- version. And if I hit enter, it is actually going to show us the version of the PIP3. So everywhere, I guess the same version is installed, 20.3.4 across all the operating systems except Windows. Here we have 21.2.3. Okay, now we can use this PIP3 command in order to install the packages. So I can just type in and say PIP3 install and numpy. And it is going to go ahead and install this particular library numpy. So Python actually comes with a large set of libraries by itself. And there are a lot of organizations and individuals that develop a lot of modules or libraries or the programming frameworks for Python. So all such programming frameworks can be found uploaded on a very nice website known as pypy.org. So pypy.org is a project related to Python, and basically it is the repository of the libraries and tools for Python programming language. All these libraries and tools, most of them don't come installed with Python programming language. And we can actually search for such projects. So I can just say numpy, and if I hit enter, it is actually going to show us the entry for numpy library. Now, if I click on this, it is actually going to show us all the details of that library. So here we have the project links, we have the home page, we have the source code on the GitHub, and here we have the link to the documentation, and it is going to open different websites in the new browser windows. Okay. And here we can even see the command pip install numpy. In our case, it will be pip3 install numpy. And if we run this command on the command prompt of our operating system, it is going to install numpy. See, it has installed the numpy library, and we can see the demo of it in action. I can just say that Python, and I can say import numpy. So this numpy is a very big area. We cannot cover this in a single video. So we are just going to leave it at it. Okay. Similarly, we can just go to the Raspberry Pi and say pip3 install numpy, and let us see what happens. It might be the case that numpy is already installed on this Raspberry Pi. I don't know. So let us wait for the console to show the output. Yeah, it says that requirement already satisfied. It means that the numpy came pre-installed with Raspberry Pi. But for Debian, it may not be the case. So I will just say pip3 install numpy. So it is going to go ahead and launch that installation stuff. It will basically fetch the NumPy stuff from this repository PyPy, and then it is going to extract it and install it. Also, we can see the list of installed packages by typing the command pip3 list. And if I want to remove an installed package, then I have to say clear. So as of now, there are only 3 utilities that are installed: NumPy, PIP, and setup tools for this Windows installation. I will just say pip3 remove and NumPy. Okay, it says unknown command remove because that command doesn't exist. We should say uninstall pip3 uninstall NumPy. Then it is going to uninstall the NumPy that we have installed here. And it is actually asking us for the confirmation. I'm entering Y and let it uninstall NumPy. So let me clear it. Now let us again see the list of the installed stuff. And we will only see 2 things, that is PIP and setup tools. Similarly, let us go to the Raspberry Pi. Okay, so here we have the Debian, and here also I can see pip3 and list, and it is going to show us the list of the installed packages. And I think that it comes with a lot of packages on Linux than Windows. So here also we can uninstall pip3 uninstall NumPy, and if I hit enter, it will go ahead and uninstall NumPy. Probably it is going to ask us for the confirmation. So this is all about Python package index and pip command. So you can always visit that website pypi.org, pypi.org, and explore this entire website as an exercise for this episode. Okay, it says that cannot uninstall NumPy. So there might be some problem. I'm not quite sure how we can uninstall NumPy from Raspberry Pi. So we are going to leave it at that because there is no need to uninstall. We are going to explore NumPy with Python programming language in the coming episodes on this YouTube channel. In case you don't want to miss it, I recommend you to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Now let us go ahead and see the last thing, that is Python implementations and distributions. So let us minimize all the windows and open the browser tab. And let me open another Notepad stuff. So I find that Notepad is the best tool to explain the theoretical concepts that do not involve any sort of diagram. In case you know of any other better tool, let me know in the comment section of this video. See, we have the Python interpreter, python.exe, that is provided to us by PSF, Python Software Foundation. Its website is python.org. Now, many people say that Python is not only a programming language, it is a standard. Okay, so you can actually develop your own interpreter and call it Python interpreter if it adheres to certain basic standards by Python Software Foundation's philosophy. Just like C and C++ have got a lot of implementations of compilers. For example, C has got many compilers. Microsoft Visual++ is a compiler, GCC is a compiler, LLVM is a compiler. The older doomed Turbo C and Turbo C++ are also compilers for C language. They are no longer maintained. And then we have MinGW project that brings the GCC compiler with a nice front end on Windows. Then we have MinGW W64, which I prefer to use on Windows environment. So these are all compilers for C programming language. So basically C programming language is a standard, and if you want your compiler to be called a C compiler, then it has to be able to compile a certain set of instructions. So similarly, Python is not only a programming language, it is a standard. And there are a lot of organizations that are developing the Python interpreter, and they are also maintaining it. And those interpreters are known as implementations. So almost all the implementations are able to execute the basic Python program and even intermediate Python program. But a few interpreters are suited for special purpose like Internet of Things or embedded and hardware related programming. So now we can see the list of implementations. Just type in Python implementations and it is actually going to show us alternative Python implementations. And here we have the list of alternative Python implementations. And there is other page also, Python implementations. So let us open both the URLs. So here we have the Iron Python. So it is Python running on .NET. Jython, it is running on Java Virtual Machine, and it is a fast Python implementation with just-in-time compiler. Stackless Python and MicroPython. And the Python interpreter that we have just seen from the Python Software Foundations. So that interpreter is written using C programming language. That is why it is known as CPython. So all the Python interpreters that we have seen, they are known as CPython interpreters and they are provided by Python Software Foundation. So I think that Python Software Foundation collaborates with all these other open source projects and lend them the code of the Python interpreter to be included in their Linux and Linux-like, Unix-like operating systems. So we were discussing implementations and here we have that repackaged CPython implementations: Active State, ActivePython, Python XY, WinPython, Conceptive Python SDK, Enthought, Canopy, PyIMSL Studio, and there are hundreds of implementations. And here the other page also shows us the Python implementations. So all these are Python interpreters, or some of them are at least repackaged CPython interpreter. So the website python.org, the interpreter and the setup of Python that it offers, it is known as CPython. Now there is something else known as Python distributions. So Python distribution is nothing but a package that has one of the Python's interpreter or implementation. So interpreter and implementation, these are synonyms kind of. Okay. So an interpreter of Python is a Python implementation. So they have one python.exe file or the Python executable file on Linux, on Unix like operating systems. Plus they come with a large set of libraries like NumPy, SciPy, and OpenCV, and all these libraries. So they come with a Python interpreter and a set of Python libraries. So these packages are known as Python distributions. So we can see the list of distributions, Python distributions, and here we are going to see the list of Python distributions. Aside from official CPython distribution available from python.org, other distributions based on CPython include the following. So all these distributions, they use the CPython implementation interpreter of Python programming language, but they package them with a bit different libraries. So we have here ActivePython Anaconda project. This is the by far the most famous implementation and distribution of Python apart from this Python's CPython distribution. So I have also created a detailed video about this Anaconda and the default package manager that it comes with, the Conda package manager. And you can find the link to that video in the description section of this episode. So go ahead and check out that video, because without that video, your Python knowledge will not be complete. So we can actually have a lot of distributions of Pythons like this. You can also have your own distribution. Just borrow that CPython executable and write your own program to package it with a lot of libraries. Preferably a few of them must be written by you. Then actually it make it sound legitimate, your own distribution of Python, and then package it in a very nice thing and offer it on the internet for download. And if you are lucky, then it is going to be a very famous project and thousands of people will join you, and you will also become a pro in open source and Python programming. So this is all about the Python programming language. So I have covered almost everything that I know. So this is the most I know about the basics, like installation and interpreter, interactive interpreter, scripting mode, Spider, PyPy, PIP, Python implementations and distributions, and installing Python on the operating systems like Windows, Debian flavors, FreeBSD, and Mac OS. So this is all I know about the bare basics of Python. And if you are looking for programming tutorials, then those episodes can be found in the description section of this episode. So I hope that you understood all the concepts that I explained and demonstrated. So it has taken a lot of time for me to record this entire video because I wanted to have everything in a single video for all the beginners to get started with Python programming language. So do let me know what you think about this video. Do let me know if you have any comments or suggestions in the comment section of this video. Thanks a lot for watching this video, and I will see you next time.